Joining us on the line is Governor Christie. Obviously served as governor of New Jersey from 2010 to 2018 and gained national prominence when he sought the party's nomination for president in 2016. He is currently serving as co-chairman of the National Republican Redistricting Trust. Governor Christie, thanks so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, Ben. Appreciate it.
So why don't we begin with what the National Republican Redistricting Trust is really about? It's funny, we keep hearing from the media that the people who are really scary when it comes to redistricting are the Republicans. And then I see maps emerging each and every day from states like Illinois about how they're going to redistrict. And it looks like a horrifying Jackson Pollock painting in terms of drawing these districts. And that matters an awful lot because if you are drawing districts that have no relation to where people actually live and are specifically designed to craft bare majorities for Republicans or bare majorities for Democrats in highly biased fashion to create new congressional seats out of whole cloth, that's a problem.
Huge problem. And look, in Illinois already, their state legislative map has been overturned by a federal court saying that it was gerrymandering to the point where the federal court's now taking over the drawing of that map because they said that the Illinois Democrats can't be trusted. And this, Ben, was after, the Governor Pritzker, campaigned saying he would veto any gerrymandered map and sign that map. And their congressional map, which is not yet finalized, but a draft has been released, is just as bad as the legislative map.
So, Governor Christie, what is the best methodology for making sure that these maps actually bear some resemblance to reality? Because there's been talk about setting up special independent commissions. There's been talk about taking it away from state legislatures altogether. That seems like not a solution to me, given the fact that very often independent commissions turn very non-independent very quickly. So what is the best way for people to actually sound off and fight back against this sort of gerrymandering?
Well, look, I think the Constitution makes really clear, Ben, that this should be done by state legislatures. And I think what the public needs to do is to make sure that their representatives are fighting as hard as they can for three principles: fair, compact, and contiguous maps. And that's what we're fighting for, me and Secretary Mike Pompeo and National Republican Redistricting Trust. We're the group that is opposed to the Obama holder group. And let me tell you about the Obama holder group. In their charter, they say that their job is to get more Democratic favoring maps. They don't even try to hide it. They say they want to create more Democratic seats, not fair maps. What we're saying to our Republicans is draw fair, constitutional, compact, contiguous maps, and we will have your back both with expertise and with financial and legal support, because no matter what, when the Democrats don't win a map, they sue. And what happened to us in the last cycle, Ben, was that they sued in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Florida, and as a result won 8 seats. And as we know now, the margin in the House is just 5. So they sued to blue. They sued the blue to get Nancy Pelosi as Speaker, and we got to stop them from doing it in the next cycle.
Now, Governor Christie, while I have you on the phone, obviously one of the big national issues that has cropped up, and it was an issue that you were very honed in on years and years and years ago, is the impact of teachers' unions. Obviously, we're seeing this play out in Loudoun County in Virginia, but also nationwide. Parents are starting to rebel against school boards that seem like they're in hock to the teachers' unions. There's an entire article in the Washington Post just a couple of days ago suggesting that parents really should not have control over their children's education. You have Terry McAuliffe, the Democratic candidate for governor in Virginia, openly saying that sort of stuff. You were fighting the teachers' unions and their terrible impact on the education system in your state years ago. What do you make of the sudden public awareness of the fact that teachers' unions and the school boards they largely control are having a deleterious effect on kids?
Well, you're right, Ben. We were fighting this in New Jersey 10 years ago, and pretty successfully for a long period of time in diminishing their influence. But you now have a teachers' union member in the White House, in Jill Biden, and she is influencing her husband and her husband's administration every day to give the teachers' unions carte blanche to do whatever they want. And what we're seeing here is that they're now trying to affect in a significant way, not just the expensive education, which is where they were focused before in terms of salaries and pensions and health benefits that choke taxpayers all across this country. But now they're focusing on curriculum even more strongly than they've been before. And they want to teach their liberal socialist ideology to our kids to make them hate America. And that's what they're doing. And so we've got to be really focused at every school board across this country. And you see parents getting up now and fighting it. And I will tell you that if parents get up and fight it and the Republican Party does what we should have been doing for years and should be doing now, which is to join with those parents, lead and inspire them, then this is a fight the teachers union will lose. But this has got to be, to me, one of the biggest issues that we emphasize in the midterm elections and in the 2024 elections, because if we don't educate our children about the truth about this country and to love this country, then we are going to lose this country.
And Governor Christie, it was kind of amazing to see Barack Obama arrive in Virginia and then announce that these were all trumped up fake culture wars, that when parents are worried about what their kids are being taught in schools, when there's information emerging from these schools that they're actual cover-ups, like there were in Loudoun County, apparently, of alleged sexual assault, or that when parents get concerned that maybe their kids are being taught racial essentialism in the classroom, this is a fake, trumped-up, phony culture war. It is pretty incredible how for the left and for the Democratic Party, they will do something incredibly radical, like start to indoctrinate your kids in some perverse topic. And when you notice, that's the culture war.
Well, of course. I mean, it's only when they get caught that we're in fact the perpetrators of the problem. Look, let me tell you a quick story, Ben. It's happening in my own town here in New Jersey. My 10-year-old niece got an assignment in her class to write an essay. The whole class did, The American Dream, Myth or Reality. And they were told that they had to write the essay based upon the written materials provided by the teacher, except all of the written materials backed up myth and none on reality. Well, my niece wrote reality anyway and got a poor grade on the essay. And when my brother and my sister-in-law went in to talk to the teacher about this, they were told, well, she didn't follow the assignment. They said, well, you didn't give her any option except to write that the American dream was a myth. Now, imagine that this is going on in schools all over America. And this is the stuff we got to stand up and fight against, because our children should not be taught that there's only myth to the American dream. It's outrageous. It's wrong. And it's not going to make this country a better place. It's going to make it a worse place.
I'm speaking with Governor Christie, former governor of the state of New Jersey. So, Governor Christie, obviously, you ran for elected office in New Jersey successfully more than once. There's some interesting stuff happening in the current race between Phil Murphy and a guy named Shapiro. And this race was supposed to be a blowout. I mean, just a few months ago, the polls were showing Murphy up 25 points, 15 points, 16 points. Now, according to the latest Emerson poll, which is already a week old at this point, that latest Emerson poll had Murphy up just 6. It looks as though that Shapiro has started to really pick up some ground on Murphy, and Murphy's begun to lose some ground. What should the message to Democrats here be?
Look, that this crazy progressive agenda that Phil Murphy has pursued in New Jersey, raising every tax we have, increasing spending over $11 billion in 4 years, is just not popular. Not in addition to his severe lockdowns during COVID, in addition to his job-killing policies, which have killed a third of the small businesses in New Jersey over the last 18 months, that all of these things are highly unpopular. When you add to it what's going on, what we just talked about in terms of critical race theory and the type of things that they're teaching, and that he's mandating, signing executive orders to mandate be taught in the classroom, this is really turning off independents all across New Jersey, which still are the largest number of voters in our state. And those independents are saying, you know what, this is not what we bargained for, and we're going in another direction. So I think Jack Chiarelli has real momentum in his direction, and I'm hoping that, in the last week, that he's going to make up that ground and that we're going to get a Republican governor again here in New Jersey. And that would be a huge upset, as you said, given where these polls were just 6 or 8 weeks ago.
Well, that is Governor Christie. Really appreciate your time. And if folks want to help out the NRRT, they can head on over to thenrrt.org. That is thenrrt.org. Governor Christie, really appreciate it.
Ben, I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. And call me anytime. We're ready to talk to you all the time.
Sounds good.